Welcome to Unbiased and on the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this Saturday evening. How are you doing tonight, Eileen?
Well, I would love to say that I'm doing great. I'm doing well, but I am just recovering from a pretty heavy-duty head cold that became a chest cold. Mm-hmm. So I'm about 5 days into it, and if we talked before tonight, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I'd be sniffling and coughing and sneezing and choking too much.
That's a bummer, but at least you're on the other flip side of it, I guess.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of it, and I'm sleeping weird. It's like every 10 hours, I'll sleep for 5 hours. So I might wake up at 1 or 3 in the morning and start working, whether it's cleaning the house or working on, some other edits on our book, because you've gotten the Kindle version ready. Yay!
That was a lot of work. Oh my gosh, I tell you what, it's like, it was one of those situations, and that's why I quit web design, because you go through all of this work and then find out that there's one little piece you need to redo, and then you get to redo all that work again. And I did it. I went 3 times through. What the problem is for anybody wanting to know is if you go to Kindle Create to create an ebook, with your manuscript from Word, it's got to be completely formatted a certain way for Create to automatically create the chapters and stuff like that. And then, but you can go in there and manually change things, but some things you can't manually change. So you do all that work, and then you got to go back to Word, make those few changes, and then redo all of the stuff you did.
Because it sets it all off again. And while you were doing that, I was in with the print book again, because Shane and I could not figure out how we're using their templates. But every time we order a book, the table of contents is off 2 pages. And we're scratching our heads going, this is impossible, because the files on our computer are correct. So finally, it took days and days of changing it and going back and uploading it. They take a few days, and then you can go check it. And I finally realized it was a difference between Paulo's programs in Australia and our programs in America. And he did some wonderful illustrations, and they're adding 2 pages to the book very early on, which sets off all the pages by 2.
That's wild, because you remember we added some stuff in the very beginning, and it threw everything off by 2 pages to begin with, because we didn't know the Roman numerals add to the regular numbers. We thought, you would think it would start in the Roman numerals and it would create that buffer there where it wouldn't throw everything off.
No, but then you corrected that. And then we ordered the book, and I ordered 10 copies of author's copies, which are discounted to give to family and friends, and all the contents are off. So I'm like, you got a really special book, guys. You got the imperfect stamp copy.
At least all the stuff's there. It's just interesting that Australia has different formatting, different words, a lot of different things.
Everything's different.
It's wild. Yeah, it's wild to think of it being so different like that.
Yeah, it really was an interesting project because of the international authors. For those of you who don't know, it's Mandela Effect, friend or foe. We're getting some good feedback. Ronnie caught a few things for me that I'm going to go back now and see if we've already caught them, or if there's a couple of extra little things that we can tweak, right? Since we're trying to get that table of contents to work. And then, of course, if this doesn't work because of the international formatting, Shane's going to go in and take the whole thing apart and redo the whole thing again, so that it doesn't keep throwing the table of contents off by 2 pages.
Now that I learned how to do it on the ebook, I can go back and do it to the original print book manuscript. That way, if their system changes something, it will automatically update the page numbers.
Okay. So for book number 2, you've got all this under your belt now. Now you know how to publish books. You're a full
Okay, so, that's what I thought with web design. So I got into web design. I got through all of the bugs and stuff, but things changed so much. I mean, you can see with Kindle how much they've changed. They've completely moved to a different system. They're using
New
different software.
templates.
The software I'm using right now is about to be obsolete and replaced with something else. So it's like I'm wasting my time to
It
even
is,
learn
because they
Create.
even said that our cover was off again. I was going to save that for you when we're off air, but right when you get a chance, go in there, pull up the cover and see what they want. But
I do have that stretched cover still ready to throw back up in
that's
a
awesome,
minute.
because I think the
Yeah.
difference is so minute that it's actually printing the book okay. From what I've seen, the covers look great.
Yeah. Well, it's probably still using that original one. So a lot of work, a lot of little details to pay attention to, but we're working our way through it. It's
Yeah,
been a
we sure
learning
are. And you guys have
experience.
been great. Thanks for all the support and encouragement and the little bit of information when you found something. But yeah, we found a lot of layout issues based on the international parameters of different programs that we kind of copied and pasted.
Yeah, that's the thing. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Company
sorry.
has arrived.
Yeah,
Just
the
kidding.
dogs think there's someone at the door, but I don't think there is. It's probably a gecko.
Oh. Let me see. I was about to talk about, let's see, the book, oh, I can't remember now. Let's
I don't
go
know,
on
but you had
to,
a cool topic. You picked up a topic for tonight, which was kind of cool. Showed me
right,
a video.
yeah. Yeah, so, this is just an open-minded discussion about, because, we like to talk about anything here. We're open-minded. We listen, this isn't us pushing some sort of agenda. I just came across something that I was like, this is really interesting. This is a way I've never really even considered this playing out. But basically what it is that we've heard often that the next big thing they're going to pull off is an alien invasion hoax, right? And we hear it
Sometimes
as a
called Project Blue Book. Yep. No,
exactly,
not Blue
yeah,
Book.
or
Blue
blue
Beam.
beam, blue
Blue
beam,
Beam.
right. Right. So, they're going to pull off this hoax thing, and, a lot of people see it as different things. They'll make it look maybe religious or maybe look alien, or there's so many theories out there going around about how this hoax alien invasion is going to happen. And who's the one guy?
Stephen Greer.
Stephen
Very
Greer.
famous, talking about it for since 1975 or 1980, maybe.
Oh, he's been talking about the fake alien
Yeah,
invasion since
a
then?
long time.
Okay, so
He's like the
wasn't there a
first one.
document? There was a document at some point where they said it's going to be, the Russians or nukes, and then it's going to be terrorists, and then it's going to be alien invasion.
Yeah,
Somebody
he presented
predicted
that.
that.
It was Dieter von Braun's secretary on his deathbed said that he told her, so it's Chinese whispers, that the whole plan was World War One reorganizes power in Europe, which it sure did with the East and the West division, right down Poland, right down Berlin. And then the Second World War, no, that was the reorganization of Europe. What did the First World War do? What
I
did
know.
it
When is this guy
organize?
from? So this guy actually called World War One, two,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
because they
Cold War and
actually
all of that.
hired him after World War II and brought him from Germany. He was their number one rocket scientist to America under Project Paperclip,
Oh,
where they
okay.
brought in all these Nazis and they
Yep.
snuck them in instead of sending them to the Nuremberg trials. They said, no, we're going to have you. You're a smart one. You're a dumb one. You can go to Nuremberg. You're a smart one. You can come into our
Come
government,
into the labs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come into the labs. So then they said a Cold War with Russia, which wouldn't be a real war, but everybody would feel like it. So think about all the bomb shelters they made.
Oh
They
yeah.
felt like they were being attacked, even though they weren't. And then it was a war of terrorism, which he predicted decades before 9/11, right? And then after terrorism, it would be the war to end all wars, which is the alien invasion.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, it's going to consolidate all of us under one military, one government. We've almost got one store called Amazon, right? I mean, we've
A to
almost,
Z. Have you
yeah,
noticed the
yeah.
Amazon has the A to Z swoop to show you they've got everything from A to Z in their
Yes,
logo?
they do. But come on, let's be serious about that little arrow going and going up. Everybody's like, oh, that's a dirty arrow. They're like, my gosh, what is he trying to show us, Jeff Bezos, with his little arrow going from A to Z? Yes,
Right.
yes.
That's funny. There's conspiracies about everything, huh?
Yeah, but they're doing it. The one world, the one world, the one world. So anyway, now that we've got that, Dieter von Braun.
Who
So
predicted that the next thing? Now
what do
we've
you think of this guy, the video you sent me? Do you think like he's carrying on from that? Like he's following on from the prediction of getting us all under one military, one government?
Well, let me kind of set this up for everybody who
Yeah.
hasn't heard of Randy Kramer. This guy is similar to what you think of with Corey Good. Now, I know that's going to turn people off a lot, but he says he's gone through the secret space program. He did the 20 and back thing that, um, uh, I can't even think of his name now.
I know what you mean. Emery Smith.
Emery Smith, he's kind of connected with Emery Smith and just this whole idea of the secret space program. I don't know if he's even talked with David Wilcock, but that's sort of the impression I get. So he's still in the government.
Yeah, it's like David's left those guys, hasn't he? Like David brought Corey in. Corey was David Wilcock's secret informant for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then he brought him out of the closet. Right. And then they did stuff together. And now David's like split from Corey, hasn't he? And they're like not together anymore.
I don't know. Are they completely split up? You know?
I think so. I think so. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe they've sort of drifted apart. I don't know. I've always liked David Wilcock's research in his books. I've always, really been on the fence about Corey Good and his information. I kind of feel like
Me too.
He feels like the information he's given us is good. I don't feel like he's deceptive in any way, but I don't know what kind of stuff they've programmed into his head to feel like he's experienced those things. There's so much, I don't know if it really happened or not, is what I'm saying. Some of the stuff he reports on.
And plus it kind of feeds into the Trump announcing we need a Space Force. So this stuff is coming to us from all different angles, right?
And that was another thing with Corey. For a while, it was like, they're going to come save us. They're going to help us and save us. But then he kind of switched up his gears last year and said, they're not going to do it for us. They're going to help us. We need to do it if we want to do it. So I thought that was kind of...
I caught the switch for sure. I caught the switch. I also caught grays aren't so bad after all. I think they were basing a lot of the grays and reptilians being bad on the Law of One. Now, David Wilcock went out and helped them build the compound. He was so immersed in the Law of One stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think he got the Orion Wars, bad aliens, good aliens, from that era. You're talking the 80s. But now they're changing it, and they're saying, no, there's some good reptilians. There's some good grays. But then again, you've got Hernandez's research, who you and Sherry had on the show, mm-hmm. who studied 5,000 contactees, where they said, yeah, there's no baddies and goodies,
Right. So with this back to the Randy Kramer guy, he appears to be giving this information out by the request of the government. They want a certain amount of people to know what's really happening.
And so is Tom DeLonge.
Right.
Tom DeLonge's working with all the forces. Openly.
So let me just lay it out in like kind of a nutshell for you guys, so I don't have to waste a lot of time. You can look up Randy Kramer and hear his whole plan. But basically, we have 3 alternatives for the future. Do nothing, where we're going to end up in all sorts of civil wars, and all these wars are going to break out. We're going to continue to divide, and the world's going to go to hell, and all of this stuff. That's if we do nothing, right? The second choice, or I guess the first choice of doing something will be to hoax a UFO landing at all of the major governments around the world and to introduce themselves, basically landing on the White House and going that route. And they've said they've tried that before. But they said that people will end up, there'll be mass suicides, people will be freaking out, and it won't be a good thing.
Remember that? The Orson Welles pretending and everybody like jumped out of windows.
Exactly.
That was 1939, though. We've come a long way, baby, since 1939.
So you've got deaths every way so far. You've got doing nothing. There's going to be all these deaths because, war is going to break out. If we do this sort of hoax landing, like disclosed, like we've got all these aliens landing with all the government leaders, there's going to be a lot of deaths that way. And they're just looking at numbers. The third way is to create an alien invasion hoax. But what this does is, psychologically, the people that would normally go kill themselves or freak out, or they've been fighting with their neighbors and all of this, they've got this common enemy, like we heard Reagan back in the 80s say, yep. Right? I wonder what it would be like if we all faced an outside enemy.
A common enemy.
Yeah, an alien threat. Exactly, yep. To unite us all. So it's this, and I heard Reagan tack that on to the end of his speeches. It wasn't, the speechwriter didn't write that in there. He said it 6 times. And each time he added it to the speech. I find that pretty interesting. It's like
that is interesting because he was like the first to say that, and then Bush repeated it, didn't he, after him?
Well, that's secondhand. I didn't research that myself, so I'm just letting you know.
I didn't either.
Say that, and I don't know how people do the research.
But this is interesting because we have this call for a space force. We have Tom DeLonge, Academy of the Stars, working with all the armed forces in disclosure. And he says, I don't want to tell everybody everything either. I don't think you're all ready to hear it. So I'm working with them to get more information out to you than maybe they would have done on their own. So I'm still a good guy.
Right.
I'm in your corner, but I'm not going to tell you everything. You know, whenever I hear people have secrets, I turn them off. I'm like, if you've still got a secret that you're not telling me, why should I listen to you? You know, either
Right.
spill the beans or I'm moving on, right? Don't you feel the
Right.
same way?
Oh yeah.
So I find this very militaristic, like the New World Order or
The
the
whole
ruling
Randy
elite.
Kramer idea, just to begin
Yeah,
with. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I find the whole thing really coincidental. And they've almost been talking about Project Bluebeam for too long, and it hasn't happened. So people are like, yeah, 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 that's not going to happen.
Well,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
was. I should lay it out how he said it would happen. I mean, because people have been talking, it's going to be this sort of holograms in the sky. It's not going to be real, and they
I
can
know how they
create.
do those. It has to do with HARP, and it has to do with the black triangles. And they're on Google. You can look it up. They have plasma, and they can cloak with plasma and be invisible and reflect the stars, so you see through them. Or they can reflect any shape that they like: a cross, a fish, a
Mm,
cigar, a boomerang. Yeah, our little black triangles, they're big, can do any shape they want. So carry on. So now we know we've got the technology to
right,
fake
but
it, right?
right, but he says the way they're going to do it is we're going to use our scariest looking alien allies. They're really our friends, and they haven't decided. They said that they would either pick
Reptilians.
they would either pick the
Reptilians.
they would either pick the reptilians, or they're actually leaning towards the insectoids, because that would even be scarier to
Like a
us.
big giant praying mantis. I've only seen pictures of the praying mantis. I'm like, can you imagine a 10-foot bug?
I know, that's what I'm saying.
What do you
So
want to see? An 8-foot reptilian or a 10-foot bug? What's scarier, guys?
hmm. See, when I think about an insect, they seem like they have a shell, and if you had one that was the size of you, they might be like, bulletproof, their
Yeah, they
shell,
kind of are. You can't squash them, that's for sure.
And you think that all we have really, as far as weapons, as far as the government's kept us to where all we really have is projectile weapons. We have weapons that shoot out
Except
projectiles.
for the rays that they use to incinerate things, the laser rays and the sound waves
I'm
that they
talking about
use.
I'm talking about the First Amendment or the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. Well, nobody's got ray guns at home,
No, we
right?
don't have ray guns at
No,
home.
right,
And
and
we
we're the
don't have
ones,
sound waves at home that
right?
make people fall to their knees in a pile of jelly, but the government does.
Exactly.
They're not sharing, are they? They're not
No.
sharing their supplies. So
So
anyway, then it's very unlikely that there actually is an alien threat. If you use the logic,
yeah,
if the ruling elite that run governments, and we're talking bankers, we're talking the money people that run governments, says this is a genuine threat, guys, this alien nation or group of nations has said, you guys are not doing a very good job down there, so we're going to step in and help you. What they would do then is they'd have to turn to the population, and they'd have to arm us into a little army. So they'd give us ray guns and they'd give us our sound weapons, but they're not doing that. So that makes me think the whole thing's fake,
right.
right?
Exactly. So we have our scary friends come in, scare the crap out of us, make us think that they're invading and they're attacking, and everything seems hopeless, and that gets people to not focus on killing themselves and killing each other, because there's so many little wars going on between different factions and races and stuff like that, and they think that this will break them up, because they'll say, hey, let's not fight each other, let's fight this common enemy, the aliens. So after that goes on for a year or two, then another set of alien friends comes in. This time being our friend.
The goodies.
The first set are our friends, but they're pretending to be our enemies.
Yeah,
Right.
that was cool, that
The
part.
second one shows up. They run off the first scarier of the our enemies.
So we feel
which was-
saved.
so we're saved, and then
Phew.
during all this, they get to introduce some of the new technology. They get to say some of the technology they're coming out was just given to us by the savior race that came in. So they get to disclose a lot of stuff. And I do want to point out that the Randy Kramer guy says, while he knows that there is a cabal and there's an elite and stuff, he makes it sound like the Illuminati is a very small faction of those running the world. Like you're
They
looking
are
at a little
small.
club within
It's a
the
tiny
bigger
club.
club
It's a
of
tiny club.
CEOs
Yeah.
and Bilderbergers, and like he made it sound like all the Bilderbergers aren't Illuminati, but some of the
I think he's
Illuminati
right. I
are
think he's right
Bilderbergers.
that Bilderberg gets together openly in the public to say we're going to determine what the markets are going to be this year, what's going to be sold, what a barrel of oil is going to go for, et cetera, what the bank interest is going to be. But who is in charge of the Bilderbergers?
Hmm.
And I think he's right. The Illuminati families. Isn't it like 13? Isn't it
13
13
families.
families?
Yeah, I
Which is
don't
like the
know.
12 apostles plus Jesus, and they're kind
Right.
of following the bloodline of the Grail, and they took it through to the Rosicrucians, the Knights of the Rosy Cross, the Maltese, the Freemasons. So yeah, it could be 13 little families sitting on top of this going, now what do we do? The world economy is crashing because we've been making up money out of air for 40, 50 years now. Well, since 1990, since Bill Clinton reversed Glass-Steagall, which meant that a bank could only lend out so much of its reserves, so no bank would ever fail. Roosevelt did that after the Great Depression. And then Bill Clinton came along and said, we don't need that anymore. And we didn't notice that he did it. And then we had slight little hiccups in the market and they crashed. So, to me, this is a bunch of guys sitting around going, the economy's going to crash. What do we do? I know, let's fake an alien war and we'll put everybody in the military so everybody will have a job, right?
So you
Well,
think that's it? Just
yeah, I do. I really do. I think
so.
they're really scared about the economy getting really topsy-turvy because fractional banking means that they've made money up out of air that has nothing underneath it to support it.
Right.
You know,
I think it's important to note that Randy Kramer's point of view is that the government isn't all bad. There's a lot of good people working in the government, and this is the least harmful way to proceed to pull off this alien hoax. They're doing it for our good. This is the point
yeah,
I'm trying
that's
to
what I
make.
think is always BS.
Right.
The truth is good. The truth is good. And if you're going to lie to me about something, it must be good for you. I'm saying that to the government. It's good for you because you're lying to me. The truth is good for me. Basically, I think we've got like modern enslavement. Modern enslavement is they set the wages and then they set the cost of goods, and the two shall never meet. You'll never make enough money to pay for the cost of goods that you need. And they're playing both ends, right?
Yeah.
That's like modern enslavement. So you feel like you're free because you're free to change your job, but you're not free to make exactly what you need to make, right?
Right.
And you're free to buy the goods, but you can never quite afford the goods, not the same goods that the ruling elite can afford to buy, right? So
You can get loans, but you can never quite pay them back.
but you can never pay them back, before death,
Right.
death and taxes. So it's this illusion of freedom with the ruling families like in control of everything, the markets, the interest rates, the wages, the cost of goods. So who does that benefit? Does it benefit the 7 billion people who are making them billionaires? No, it benefits them. So they have to maneuver us like chess pieces, basically, which is why they always have that black and white checkerboard, because that's an Illuminati symbol in a movie. It could be on the back of a wall, it could be on a floor, and it just is a stamp of approval that we know this is going out and we approve it. And it's like playing chess with 7 billion people. And then the economies shift and change, and suddenly there's no jobs in America. Not really. There's only the military. A little bit of retail, a little bit of food service. We don't make computers. IBM's gone. We don't make cars. Ford's gone. We don't do steel. We don't do anything but consume. So you can't just be a consuming nation. So I think the players, the top players, like he said, he's very wise and he's smart, are sitting there looking at the chessboard and making their next moves and saying, to move people the way we want them, we're going to have to scare them with an alien invasion. And then they'll do whatever we say. That's my
Exactly. And
personal viewpoint. And maybe you can drop a link to the video in tonight's show more notes because it was interesting. That was a really interesting video.
yeah, the other thing that he
Yeah.
did was he explained how they were going to get the top money people on board by explaining to them, look, if you do nothing, you're not going to be making billions anymore because there's going to be too much war and disaster and stuff going on, and that's how they're trying to sort of convince the top people, the very top people. So it's not the very top people wanting to do it. It's he was according to him. It's the white hats within the government, and they're trying to convince these the people with the money to go along with it.
But you
And
see, the
they're at
white hats are
75%.
fake, and you can pretty much prove that if you really look into them hard. There's no evidence of white hats. You'd have to say, I believe Corey Good, and I believe Emery Smith. Therefore, the white hats are real. That's the only evidence for them. And the reset of the economy that they've been talking about for 10 years, there's no evidence for that. So really, you've got a bunch of bankers who are dominating world markets, and they're getting scared because economies are going to shift and crumble and fall based on their fake commerce called fractionalized reserve banking.
And you said there's no white hats among any of the government people?
Well, I've heard
the highest levels, or
yeah,
you got to know there's got to be good FBI agents and good, people at all
lower
sorts
down,
of.
but they don't have the power to change anything.
Right. So, but there's still like sleeper cells awaiting some change.
To me, that's con up. You got to read the book 1984 by George Orwell, and I bet have you read that book yet? Mm-mm. If you read that book, you'll understand that the idea that they're there and they're going to do something is like controlled opposition. So it keeps a population from taking action as long as they think somebody's getting ready to take action on their behalf. Then it would be pointless to take any action on their own. You're like, oh no, we can just sit back and wait for it to happen. And that's all in that book, 1984. Mm-hmm. But the bankers have always hidden behind either Satan, archons, Anunnaki, or reptilians. And it's really funny because now they're starting to say, oh, reptilians aren't so bad. So who are they going to hide behind? The little grays? Who are the human ruling elite going to blame for greed and corruption on planet Earth? They don't want to blame. They don't want to blame themselves. They don't want to say it's the ruling families who own the banks. Therefore, they need like a cover, a front. They need something to hide behind that says, well, you guys, really, it's reptilians are making us do this.
It's the mantis now.
And now it's the mantis.
All right.
And none of that rings true when you realize that the entire economy is organized by human beings on behalf of human beings, enslaving human beings. So our bankers have done a really good job of enslaving humanity without the help of a bunch of insectoids running around and rounding people up, and going, you go to that Walmart camp, and you here, go to that Target camp. We don't need the insectoids to do it. The human bankers have already succeeded. But they're scared now because they built up an economy on a bubble. And the bubble's going to burst because you can't, it cannot grow forever. And people are freaking out. If you watch genuine, non-alien, Anunnaki, non-archonic economists talk, they're really worried. They're really worried that a cup of coffee in America is going to cost like $15 because we don't sell anything. We're only consuming. We're not giving back. There's not this give and take in the flow of money in and money out. So I kind of feel this whole thing is just kind of a banker ruse, basically.
So that's the direction you see it going? Just
they're panicking. They're panicking. And the thing is, they can try to pull off this fake alien invasion, but they kind of realize we're smart now. How long have we been watching Netflix and V and all this? It's like we're not the same people from 1939 that had a radio, and only like 10% of us had a radio. Or 20% had a radio. We're smart now. And especially if you think of a teenager, how hard it would be to pull off a fake alien anything with a teenager. Even if it was real, they'd be like, yeah, whatever.
That's what I was thinking.
Whatever.
I was like, I posted that real video I recorded. Like, that's CGI. And I recorded it myself. I know it's not CGI. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Give me my iPhone. Give me my phone. So I don't know. We're like the last group of people they can try to fool, because the next group of people just won't care enough to be fooled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think? Tell me what you think, because I'm very doubtful of all their little. I see. Yes, we're visited by aliens. There's plenty of proof that they exist, and yes, they interact with people. But they seem to be kind of waiting and watching for us to get our act together down here, to like coalesce into a cooperative system. You know,
So what would be the purpose of them, of this Kramer guy putting this out? I mean, we know he's coming straight from the government, so either he's telling the truth and trying to prepare us like he's actually stating, or he's trying to muddy the
oh,
waters and make us think of something else.
controlled opposition. Didn't you say to me once that controlled opposition and psyop from the government contains at least 70% truth and 30% falsehood? Was it you who said that?
No, I've heard that though. Yeah.
That's what it is. So he's basically, they're disclosing and saying, okay, yeah, guys, there's aliens, and yeah, they're not mean, they're not going to eat us, but they're not all good, and this is why. So it's like a new version of Don't Trust the Aliens,
Mm.
because it seems that off Earth.
Oh, was he saying that not all of them were good that were going to be attacking us?
Yeah, it was like there were some that were good and some that were bad. And some reptilians are good and some are bad. And some are going to play along with us and some are going to do the hoax with us. And, because I just felt like the whole community is shifting its. They used to say the baddies are the baddies and the goodies are the goodies. It's called the Orion Wars. And the grays are bad and the reptilians are bad and the rest are good, including insectoids, which are
Right.
praying mantis, right?
Right. I think on this, and I'm not sure if it was because I watched a few different interviews with this guy, but the one he was explaining how he was asking, the interviewer was asking him, what happens if our friends that are pretending to be our enemies, they attack us, and then some other faction that is our enemy sees it as an opportunity to come in and attack alongside them because they see we're weakened because of this other one. They don't realize it's a hoax and all of this. What happens, and they've already worked out that contingency plan as well.
It sounds like false flags. It sounds like a human deployment of war games, doesn't it? Because if you read the contactees in the book Beyond UFOs, the people who say they have been contacted and then give evidence or give their story say that there is no war up there, that that's a human projection into space. Like we're doing our little war games down here to control territories and grow territories. But out there, if you can travel interdimensionally, you no longer fight for territory. The entire universe is your playground because you can move between dimensions. So you have no need to go and conquer little planets here and there for resources because your resources are so vast now. Why would you do that? It'd be like Illinois going to war with Ohio over corn. It'd be pointless. So if that's true and they're out there waiting and watching to see if we can join an off-Earth galactic federation of beings, they're not going to let us join until we have a cooperative system here on Earth. Because why would they want us out there stomping around and threatening to blow up other people's planets? Why would they allow that? And that's where a lot of people say that this whole war games thing is a projection of human need for war out into space. So it's like going, we're normal down here. We don't need to change anything. Keep your wars going in the Middle East or wherever. Very normal, because when we get out to space, there's only more of it. And it also means we need a space force. So we need more tax dollars. We need a few more billion, right? Because there's a war going on out there and we want to protect you and your family. So every reason behind it feels incredibly unintelligent and unevolved. And if anything we've learned about these non-Earth visitors is that they're extremely advanced. And if they're advanced, they're probably evolved. And if they're evolved, they probably don't play war games anymore. They probably don't need them.
Right.
You
Who's
know,
actually saying that there's wars going on out there right now?
Corey Goode, Emery Smith, David Wilcock. It's all the white hats and the good aliens versus the bad aliens. And at first, they started saying that there was a bubble around Earth and that they wouldn't let the bad aliens in anymore. But unfortunately, they trapped the reptilians in here, which are forcing the bankers to be greedy. So humans wouldn't be greedy. The bankers would be giving you fair loans if it wasn't for the reptilians. So that was the story like in the 90s. And
they asked him in one of those interviews, is there some kind of, shield around Earth or something? Because as far as I know, we come and go as we please. There's nothing around Earth.
Corey Goode and Emery Smith and David Wilcock, before they split up, said that the galactic force, which is the good guys out there, removed the shield so that they could let the bad reptilians off Earth. so that our bankers could become good again and bank fairly. So, the whole ridiculousness of the whole setup, if you follow it for decades and decades and decades, is really maneuvering the military like, how can we get people to go along with this? What do we need? What fear do they need? What do they have to be afraid of for us to get more money out of them?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not going to go along with it, but I might be the minority. There only might be a few of us who sit there and go, no, not going to go along with a space war invasion hoax.
Yeah, because I've heard of space wars and things going on, just within different channelings and stuff too over the.
Loads of channelings.
Right.
It all really started. There were no space wars in the 1950s. There were none in the 1960s. It started in the late 70s, and it really took off with Law of One. All of the previous channelings with Seth and all of that contained no space wars. So it really started with a very small faction. But people have to remember the author of Law of One killed himself. He couldn't live with the material that he was divulging. And the actual channel was very, very sick. So these were not healthy humans who were living happily and healthily with the information that there's a big space war for control of planet Earth. And David Wilcock went out and lived with them, and he helped them build their compound. So I would credit him with taking the Law of One material from Fringe and making it mainstream when he did his wisdom teachings on House of Gaia. And then he brought Corey Goode out of the closet, and then they brought Emery Smith out of the closet. So this is a construct of David Wilcock, Corey Goode, and Emery Smith, and it goes back to Law of One. If you go before Law of One, there are no space wars.
Oh, okay. So it started with Law of One, because I definitely remember talking about, well, what if people go through that they were saying it's like running into a brick wall. They would never try to go through the barrier without permission, but they can find holes in the system.
They said there was a barrier, and now the word from the people who divulged the stuff is that they removed the barrier, that they opened it. So, this is very convenient for human war games to open and close territories and say, well, the barrier's closed again. Nope, the barrier's open. And the fact of the matter is, in all these years, we've never seen aliens come down and oppress people. We've never actually. My dogs are playing like tug of war. Can you guys hear them?
I thought it was my kids.
No, it's my dogs. It's like, come on, stop playing tug of war through the whole show. But yeah, it's like humans projecting war games out into space.
Yeah.
That's all. There's no evidence for it. I mean, I like the grays. I think grays are great. And now grays are starting to become acceptable again. So did I do that? Is that my Mandela effect for the world, that I've told so many people constantly, the grays are cute, the grays are cute. They're just doing a job. They're just little robot people, doing what they have to do. So now everybody's like, oh, lay off the grays. They used to be the baddies from Orion. Remember?
Yeah. Now they're Zeta Reticula or something, right?
Exactly. But they're going, oh, those are different grays. Those are bigger grays. They have bigger noses and they're taller. Seriously, they've given the Zetas a better profile.
Don't they call them? They call them
biological, kind of like androids, like biological robots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like programmable.
And that they can work in 3D, so they come down here and do a lot of work with humans and get blamed for everything.
Now, one of the things that Randy was talking about that was really interesting is he was talking about how innovative humans are, and that other races love to come and get stuff from us, because as soon as we finish creating or inventing something, we turn around and say, how can I make this better? And other races aren't like that. They'll create a ship, and if it works, they'll drive that thing around for thousands of years, and they won't ever go back and add a racing stripe or any of the things that are human. Like we're like, what if I added a lift kit, bigger wheels?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, we're incredibly creative, and we're going to get out there. We're not going to get out there until we can play peacefully.
But he's talking about how there's already an export business, that they export things that we don't know about already, and that they love our beer was one thing that they love. He even explained that they came and taught us how to make beer a long time ago. It was an
Oh, with the
alien.
barley and the hops and all that, and
Exactly. And then we took it
fermentation.
and we perfected it like humans do.
That's
And
so
now they love
funny.
our beer. So they came here, showed us how to make, mom's famous whatever, and then we remastered it.
We used
And
to
now
say
it's
that about the Japanese. I remember in the 70s, my dad and would say, Americans are great at inventing things, but the Japanese always make it better. They always make it better. And I was thinking, yeah, they kind of do. The computer, the car, in many,
yeah.
many ways.
But it's looked at as a human thing,
That's
you know,
cool.
to
That's
add the
cool.
art
If
to it.
this makes us all one, I think it'll backfire on them, and I kind of think it's going to be humans in alien suits pulling strings, trying to look like insectoids.
That'd be really hard to do. I
I
did
mean,
add that link down below, you guys. You can look up
think about it. If the
Hoax
insectoids wanted
Invasion.
to rule Earth, wouldn't they be ruling it right now today? Like we'd be sitting here interviewing one. We'd be like, "Come on, let's get an insectoid on our show. Come on."
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think that was a good choice, though. If they do have the choice to go between reptilians and insects, that seems way more far fetched to have a giant insect coming after me.
Yet
That
I've
would be
heard,
more mind
I've never
blowing.
seen one, but I've heard people say they're there, they exist. And I'm like, okay, I can doubt, but I'm not going to disbelieve because I can't, just because you haven't seen something doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right?
No. And I've even heard that the mantid beings are the top of the food
I mean,
chain, basically.
too. And that they're really peaceful and hot. Would you guys stop it? My dogs are having a war. We're having the war right now in my living room over a toy. This is just too. But yeah, I mean, okay, other proof. If they wanted to suck our souls out of our bodies and eat our children, we would have no souls right now and we would have no children. It would have been done a long time ago. They're not like sitting there waiting for the opportune moment to devour us, right?
Right.
But the bankers are getting pretty scared about the economy right now and they're thinking, how are we going to maneuver large groups of people to do what we want them to do?
Yeah.
No. How would that move us around? Like, what would they say? Like, y'all have to move into the big cities because we can't protect the suburbs anymore from the mantises? I
Can
don't
you
know.
imagine? Man, we could have a strange world just in a matter of hours. It could just go from business as usual to an insect invasion, you
But
know?
you know what the people would say? The people would go, give me the insectoids. That's what they think of our government. They'd go, I'm taking the insects, guys. People have such a bad opinion of our government and our banks and our corporations, that they probably go for the alien invaders and go, can you give me a better deal on my loan, on my mortgage?
My first thing I imagine turning on the TV, breaking news, and seeing insects like running around the streets, and the first thing I imagine is me just rolling around on the floor and just cracking up laughing when I see that.
I
That's
go
just
out
going to
and
be
go,
so
I
funny.
come in peace. Want a cup of coffee? What can we do for you guys? And that's the last thing the government wants to hear is that we'd run out and we'd greet the aliens like, it's about time. Look what our government's doing to us. And of course,
What do
it's
you
not our
get?
government, it's our corporations and our banks running our government.
Sugar cubes or something?
I don't know. Worms. What do insects eat? Bugs. No, do they eat other bugs?
Hopefully, it's not
Oh,
humans when they're
leaves.
there.
They eat leaves. They eat plants.
Okay.
I mean, a mantis eats leaves, right?
So if it's a big ant, sugar cubes, big mantis, get some big
Get
leafy.
some big leafy greens. That's the
Hmm.
funny part, though. I wish they'd do like a TV show on it where they faked an alien invasion and then like the whole population ran up and like, we're with the aliens, we're with the insects. It all backfired on them. Like, what? They're not afraid. They're not running away. They're joining the ranks.
Well, plant some elephant ears, guys, just in case.
But
Plenty
I
of
don't
leafy
know. I try
material.
to keep an open mind about it, but I just don't see proof since I did believe it. I used to believe in the alien space wars. I was a big Law of One person, but then there wasn't much else to read back then in the 80s. I didn't even know about Dolores Cannon in the 80s. I read Seth, I read Ramtha, I read Law of One, and that really set the scene that there's this massive secret space war going on for control of the Earth with the bad aliens versus the good aliens.
Right, but I think what I appreciated a lot about the Law of One is that it does make the distinction between the density levels and
Yeah, the density levels were super cool. But then
right.
David Wilcock in his Ascension portal thingies that I went to said you only have to be 51% good to go into fourth density positive, and you only have to be 51% bad, negative, to go into fourth density negative. And I thought, you know what? That's a far cry from New Earth and 5D Earth the way we see it in our community. We don't see people being like,
I thought it was 90% to go the other way.
yeah, he's saying 51.
Yeah, I think in the Law of One it actually says like Genghis Khan was one of the only persons able to go up a level by to progress in the negative path or something like that. I have to look up. If you look up Genghis Khan though in the Law of One material, you'll see
Well,
what it.
maybe he meant that to go up on the positive path because he said you definitely have to be 51% good. What happens to the other 49%? They just get demolished into molecules again. That's the theory that everything goes back to a reset of a brand new Big Bang. And anybody who can't progress negatively or progress positively gets annihilated.
Hmm.
Right? Is that what happens to them? Do you
I don't think
remember?
in the Law of One. I don't know about.
What happens to the 49% who are not good enough to go up to fourth density positive? Where do they go?
I thought they flunk. They do
Where
it
do they go
again.
when they flunk?
I think they go back to another 3D Earth somewhere until they're done doing their third density stuff. They're ready to
That's the
be
Dolores
harvested.
Cannon take on it. Her QHHT people kept saying that the good will, the really, really positive will move up into New Earth, and those who aren't ready will just stay on 3D Earth and keep working at it.
And there would be like a split.
Yeah, there would be a split. But I think Law of One actually did something to the baddies. Like, I think they got annihilated for a reset to start over as atoms. That's what I remember.
Hmm.
But I read all the books.
See, I remember like Hitler, them saying he needed lots of care and reflection on his. But I don't know about like the actual harvest. I need to really revisit that again because that was so new to me at first. Let me see if
I
I can.
haven't read Law of One books for 12 years, 15 years. So a lot of it's been escaped my brain and been mished and mashed up with other things, with other theories.
Yeah.
I
Do
like
you remember how to
Dolores.
spell Genghis?
What's that?
Uh, Genghis? Do you remember?
Yeah, Ging, Ging, right?
Yeah. Let me see if anything
Try
comes up.
Ging.
Oh, where is that? Is that phrase?
There's an H in there somewhere too, isn't there? I'm a terrible speller.
Yeah, me too. I just knew that was the part where it said
It was Dolores Cannon who kind of said
Genghis.
Geng.
That doesn't look right.
Genghis. Actually, you know what they're saying? That whole Genghis Khan thing, that's Tartary. That's the Tartarians. And that they actually ruled over all of Europe, some of North America, most of Asia, and that they were the Tartary Empire that's been annihilated from history.
Hmm.
And that's the Khans, the Khans, starting, I guess, with Genghis.
Well, I knew he had a lot of. He's got a lot of descendants because they say that. That's. Let's see, the one known as Terrace bulba. That was funny that I was just reading that. Okay, so the question was. I'm trying to find the Genghis Khan part here. Let's see.
I think I'd have to read the books and start reading them again to see what happens to the baddies who are, they're not good and they're not bad. They're just not qualified good enough to go up into fourth density positive, and they're not bad enough to go into fourth density negative. Where the heck do they go? You know?
Okay, here we go. This was the question. I'm glad I found this. This comes from 11:8. Is there anyone in our history that is commonly known who went to a fourth density self service or negative type planet or will go there? I am Ra. The number of entities thus harvested is small. However, a few have penetrated the eighth level, which is only available from the opening up of the seventh through the sixth. Penetration into the eighth or
That's
intelligent
not
infinity level allows a mind body soul spirit complex to be harvested if he wishes to at any time, space during the session. And then they said, are there any people known in our history of our planet by name? I am Ra. We will mention a few. The one known as Terrace Bulba, the one known as Genghis Khan.
Who's Terrace Bulba?
I don't know.
I'm going to grab a chew toy while you figure that out, because that's interesting. Terrace Bulba?
The one known as Rasputin. So that's pretty interesting. I wanted to, let's see, anyone go from third density to fourth density? Okay. Okay, so this is the part that we were kind of wondering about. Maldek. I was trying to find out the statistics here. I don't see the statistics here.
It's super low, isn't it? I remember it being super low. Like you had to be really, really bad.
Yeah, it's like you had to be like 90%
negatively.
selfish to be able to progress. Or it may have been 95 even. Whatever it was so ridiculous. But Genghis Khan was able to
51% good to progress to fourth density positive. That's not a lot of positivity up there, is it? If you think about it, they're only 51% good. Like I consider people in our community, we're probably up in like the 75, 80%. Like, goodness compared to our badness.
Right. But the thing, and a lot of us are trying to make up for earlier years of being tilted the other way, right?
Yeah.
But all there is the now, so we're good.
But we might be like 90% good and we don't even know it, because like even if we were bankers, we would never do that. We'd be like giving fair loans and doing fair interest rates and sharing resources for the good of the community. So we might never ever qualify for the negative path, because it just isn't in us to do the negative selfish thing. Like, oh, well, if I structure it this way, I get 90% and the 90% get 10%. You have to be pretty doggone negative to do something like that, right?
Yeah, but they even go into how even the self-serving groups still help the whole. It all feeds the system, whether you're on the negative or the positive.
Yeah, because it gives the positive people something to push against.
Right.
And grow and prove their positivity and demonstrate where they are on the positive scale. If you had nothing negative to push against, then you wouldn't know, right?
And exactly. Plus, within their group, it's a service to others group. So I've got your back, you got my back. It's service to others within our service to self group.
So I mean? I'm just going to like take all your money out there as a service to all of you out there. I'm just going to like hoard your money as a service to you guys so you can fight back against me.
Well, it's more like I'm going to introduce you to my banker friend who's going to give you some high interest loans. My service, and then they take care of each other. So within their group, they've got a service to others mentality. You see what I mean?
Oh,
For just their group.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that, though, because that becomes Abrahamic. Because the whole Western world, if the West is dominating the banking world and the energy world and the media world and the corporate world, which we do, we are all based on Abrahamic religions out of the Middle East. So you have to look at the roots of the Abrahamic religion, right? And Metal Rabbit sent me something, and I can't remember the name of it. And it was every 7 years, according to the Abrahamic law, which was probably the Talmud was spoken and the Torah was written. It was probably in the Torah that you had to forgive all debts every 7 years. Every 7 years, everybody who owed you money got a zero bank balance, and they got a reset.
The year of Jubilee, I believe they call it.
Is that what it's called? The year of Jubilee? Yeah, she sent me something, and it had a real name, like with an S and an H, and I couldn't pronounce it. Rabbinical law. So,
is it
what happened to
Shemitah? Something
yes.
Like that? Yeah. I've heard that somewhere before.
So what happened to our 7-year reset? They owe me a few. I'm 58 right now, and I'm still paying off debt from decades ago.
Yeah, I can't remember how to spell that, but obviously.
I can't remember how to say it.
There's a Jewish word for it. Shemitah.
It's rabbinical law. It goes back 2,000 years, which is the Old Testament, Yeah,
the Shemitah year. It's
every 7 years. Well, it's interesting because the human body, supposedly, we don't know if it's true or not, replaces all of its cells every 7 years. So that's an interesting coincidence that according to rabbinical law, you're supposed to forgive all debts every 7 years.
Yep, it's a week of year, so it's the Sabbath year, basically.
Fair enough.
Yep.
7 days in a week.
And mandated by the Torah.
Yeah,
Uh,
which became the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, with a
wow, it
bunch of other
doesn't.
bits thrown in.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Here, it's not saying it's like forgiving your debts, like I was thinking. Let me see. Year of Jubilee.
Is that in the New Testament? The year of Jubilee is the forgive the debts every 7 years.
I'm not sure. Maybe. Oh, yeah, because the other one's a Torah, so maybe this is a. mm, Let's see. The Jubilee is a year at the end of 7 cycles of Shemitah. Okay, no, it's the 49th year. The 49th year is the Jubilee year. So you have 7 sevens.
And then what happens in the Jubilee year?
Um, Special impact.
Is that in the Old Testament or the New Testament? The Jubilee year.
Old Testament for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, because it's all Hebrew. Is a year, 7 year cycles. Let's see.
But anyway,
Ownership and
it's not
management of
being
the land.
practiced. 100% of what is ruling the Western world, Western economies. What are you chewing now?
To me, it seems like they had to release even more on the 49th one, but somebody can correct me. It's been so long since I looked up that stuff, so maybe.
I get a lot
I
of it
bet
from
Ronnie knows.
Habit. She sends me to him. Yeah. Not that I can remember it, but it goes in and it changes my outlook, and then it goes out the other ear, and I can't say what it was, but it changed my viewpoint. It influenced
Totally.
me somehow, even if I can't talk about it.
That's funny. That's funny.
So anyway, the humans that are ruling here, if they feel like they are special and they are God's special people, then of course they'd have a right to do whatever they want to everybody else's people who are not special and who God does not honor. So that would give them a reason to be kind of mean in the negative sense to the rest and to be
Justify
service
it to
to
themselves.
others in their own community. Yeah,
Exactly.
it would justify it all. Yeah.
But like the law of one says, that they're just bound to crumble at some point because when they get cornered, even though they're service to others amongst their group, if they get cornered or they get in trouble, they'll be the first to turn on their group and there'll be a disintegration
Yes.
within the negative side
Which
as
is
well.
happening right now.
Yeah, they
You
said
guys,
the
we
law.
have the crumbling. The crumbling is upon us. It's
I
not an
like that.
apocalypse, it's a crumbling. And the bad's got to fall down before we can replace it with the good.
I believe they even used they said that they can't help but disintegrate. It's basically in the makeup of being service to self.
Yeah, they can't help it because they got so greedy and the inverted pyramid got so top heavy where all the wealth's at the top that it's all going to come crumbling down because there's nothing at the bottom to support them. There's nothing real underneath their bubble of fake wealth, but a lot of hungry people who are just trying to make enough money to support their families.
And this really gets back what you were saying earlier is when they have you worried about the reptilians or some kind of bigger monster. Doesn't this get right back to the whole Wizard of Oz thing? When you walk into the room,
Yes.
there's this huge monster, but really there's this one little
This
old
little man
fragile man behind the curtain.
pulling levers and smoke and fire is coming out. And they're all
Exactly.
like, they're scared. They're like, oh my God, the wizard is so scary. And then Toto, it's the dog who runs and pulls the curtain.
Right.
So they can see this little gray-haired man who looks like Einstein pulling the levers. So that is the ruling elite. The ruling elite are those little gray-haired Einsteinians.
Last thing they want us to know is they're behind the curtain, fragile as can be, and
Scared because they can't support the economy anymore. It's all on a bubble. The bubble's going to burst. They don't know what they're going to do. So Satan, they can't roll out Satan anymore. We're beyond that. So they're going to roll out insectoids instead.
praying mantises. They're coming to pray for us.
Come and pray for us, praying mantis. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd be more afraid of I think I'd be more afraid of an insect than a reptilian, for sure. Yeah.
Well, supposedly they're really going to be attacking. They're still going to be, they've got to make it convincing, right? So,
Well, unfortunately, people can still die if they fake a war.
yeah.
There'll be bloodshed and people can die. Just because it's not real doesn't mean that people don't get hurt. So we can only pray and keep our energy high and teach others not to be fooled. I guess maybe our greatest service to humanity during the crumbling times of the bad falling down so that it can be replaced by the good is to help people to hold on for truth.
Yeah.
and proof, so that they don't just believe and buy into anything that they're told.
And I
But
definitely wouldn't pick up arms and go out and start shooting at these things, because if it is a hoax, I mean, you might be a casualty that you didn't need to be. If, I would just observe. You know.
yeah, I think that's our group. Our group will be observing and praying and meditating and helping others who are scared not be scared,
Mm-hmm.
and say, it's really just a little short old man behind a curtain.
Where's Toto when you need it, right?
Where's Toto when you need it? Yep. They use the Oz a lot, don't they? The Wizard of Oz is very important.
Yeah, and I also think I like to pay attention to things that seem like they get hit with the Mandela effect more than once, and that has like 3 or 4 Mandela
Yeah.
effects in it.
We're not in Oz. We're not in Kansas anymore.
Oh, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Mm-hmm,
It
mm-hmm,
changed.
mm-hmm.
Okay, and then tap opposed to click your heels together 3
Yep.
times.
Yep. And
Click to
something
tap,
else. The
and
latest
then
is when
your
she wakes
pretties,
up.
my pretties, fly, my pretties, fly
Fly,
is
my
now.
pretties, fly.
Now it's
It's
fly.
fly, fly.
No, my pretties
No, my
anymore.
pretties. And I saw that movie every year growing up. It's like ingrained in my head, the My Pretties. I mean, that
And
line
the
was done.
pistol. Some people
Yeah,
remember the pistol. Some
I
people
don't.
don't remember the pistol. I don't remember a pistol. That's
And then have you seen the videos of supposedly the dwarf hanging from the trees? I'm like, it gets really creepy. Have you seen those?
really
Oh,
no.
you got to look them up. Just put dwarf, Wizard of Oz, dwarf trees.
Okay.
Just watch the videos, And then they said the latest one is at the end when she wakes up. Something about a change in the people who are around her and what they say.
Hmm. Interesting. So that's
Very.
got a lot. That's got a
That's
lot
got
of
a
them.
lot.
There's some other ones too that I'm not sure about. About something about how it ended, or how the what was it? The balloon took off. It was different. Do you remember how it ends? Seems like the balloon
Yeah,
goes
he takes off
without.
on his own. He's like, sorry, bye. And he's
Right.
going back to Kansas
Because
without her.
Toto had pulled the rope or done
Yep,
something, I think,
yep.
right?
And then the good witch, Glenda, says, oh, you just have to click your heels 3 times. It's not tap, it's click. And say, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home.
Is it click now or tap? I think it went to tap.
What
I
was
think
it?
it was a.
What was it at first?
Let me see here.
Just tap your heels. Click your
Click
heels. Tap your heels.
your
What
heels.
sounds right, guys? Because I've got dual memories now. Both sound okay to me.
Click your heels 3 times.
Yeah, I
Click
don't think
your heel.
tap was in it, was it? I think it was click. Because
The reason I say that is because
clicking your heels, that wouldn't be called tapping your heels, would it? Back in 1939, 1940?
close your eyes, tap your heels together 3 times. Okay, that's what I thought. It went the way because I remember when I was talking to Nathan about this, because we wrote it The Wizard of Oz. It followed the computer trend. So, we used to all be on our desktops and we would click things with our mouse.
Yes.
Now we're on tablets and we tap things with our
Now we
fingers.
tap with our
So
fingers.
it went from clicking on a computer to
To
tapping.
tapping.
And that's what The Wizard of Oz did. It went from clicking the hills together to tapping the hills together.
Well, that just
like
shows you that this whole thing is a projection of our inside information. Whatever we're thinking in here and in here is just coming out to play around us, right?
Isn't that weird? Just retroactively changing something. It's like clicking doesn't sound right anymore. Tapping sounds more right. So
Yeah, I'm like,
the
I'm
movie
not good with
updates.
both. I'm like, okay, I could go clicking or tapping.
Yeah, that's strange though.
I
Isn't
know.
it strange that it paralleled the way we click on our devices, clicking and tap on our
That is a
devices?
really insightful thing to notice. I never would have noticed that, not in a million years. Click, click, and now tap.
Well, I
Well,
guess I kind of came across it because I was thinking of tap dancing. I was like, well, I wonder if people thought it was click. I try to figure out ways that you might confuse a Mandela effect.
it
You
had to
might,
be click to begin with because if you think of tapping in 1939,
would have been
tap
like tap shoes,
would have been like
tapping
tap
against the floor.
shoes. Yeah,
Exactly.
just tap your shoes 3 times. Everybody would picture Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire tapping their toes.
Yep.
And she just went click, click, click.
But now the tap dancing isn't really a big thing anymore. Now you can tap
Now
your
you can
shoes.
just tap 3 times. Tap,
And we
tap.
know you mean, yeah, tap your heels together. It does say tap your heels together 3 times too. So
In the movie? You think so? In the movie?
yeah, that's what it's saying right here. Unless
I believe you.
this could be residue.
I caught some residue. Salted Cedar had a really good video that he re-uploaded of somebody else's, and Truth Seeker 69, she re-uploaded it, and I went in to watch the original video, and gosh, no. They took me to another source, and then I went through the rabbit hole of all these different sources to get to the original video, and marched an Illuminati band of all dressed in black and white, like a jazz band of New Orleans. And they walked across Abbey Road like the Beatles did, and then a blue Volkswagen bus drove up and stopped next to them. I'll have to find this video and send it to you. And I clicked on my phone that image of the video, and I zoomed in, and sure enough, it was the same blue van that was used in all those movies. That is the original Volkswagen logo that doesn't exist anymore, and that never existed. And they drag it out for everything. It's in some back lot somewhere, and it's turned up in like, what's the movie that I did one on where it showed up and I zoomed in on it? Not Vanilla, was it Vanilla Skies?
Oh, I think it was Vanilla Skies.
Yeah. Where he is living and he's not living, and he's in a dream and he's not in a dream, and you find out he was cryo, like saved for a couple of 100 years, and they were giving him some entertainment in his mind to get him through the wait.
That's pretty trippy, isn't
That
it?
is the same blue van that showed up today in a bunch of videos that I was looking at through Salted Cedars, where they put down the original, and then you go to the original, and you go to the original. And that blue van pulled up again with the big residue of the VW symbol, the way we remember.
Did it have it in high resolution where you could see it really good?
Yeah. I'm going to send it to you, because you
definitely
could throw it up. You could put it up there somewhere, and then put a link to the original.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'll go find it if I can.
I've seen some that people send me that look pretty good, but you can tell that it's still got the lion in there.
No, this one definitely doesn't. But it's the same blue van that shows up in all the movies. So it is a prop. It is a prop van.
That's interesting. Do you think they would make one just to mess with people and say, let's just put the original logo on there and use this in all the movies?
One van, and that just messes with everybody. And it's always blue. I mean, come on. Otherwise, it would be white. And remember, the van in Back to the Future was white, and then it became blue. So we're talking a blue van that goes back to at least 1985 with Back to the Future, right?
Back to the Future.
It's one of those buses.
Still love it.
Yeah, one of those big blue
VW buses.
White roof. Kind of like a Shaggy Mobile without the green Scooby-Doo stuff. Yeah.
Right. Didn't some of them didn't some of those roofs raise on those things, or no? Was that a different kind?
No, I remember those. I remember roofs that raised and went up.
Were they called like VW Opries or
Yes, you could walk through them, and you raised them when you were camped, so you could stand up in them, so you didn't have to hunch over.
Right. So I had the Hot Wheels version of it, so I could pull up on the top.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so
I always loved the Hot Wheels where the doors open, or the trunk, or the hood.
I bet if we look now, it didn't exist. I'll bet you if we look now, we're not going to find a VW that's roof, went up, so people could stand in it.
Wow. Need to look into that. 'Cause there's a lot more.
There's
a lot more station wagons. Like I saw a Mustang station wagon that somebody pulled a picture.
Yeah, that's crazy. Mustang station wagon. That's
ridiculous.
Like crazy.
That's so ridiculous. You can't help but laugh.
It is. It is. And in the book, Mandela Effect, Friend or Foe, Spirit Walker, Hollow shows you merging timelines in such a beautiful way that it totally supports your view that you've held for a long time, that I finally came over to, that we're not splitting timelines, we're merging timelines. Yeah. And he shows it on paper, doesn't he? He shows how the merging timelines work and how a population would have dual memories in the new population. Yeah.
And I'm starting to think that's tying into us sort of going online with the Christ consciousness and going online with the collective consciousness. It's sort of like you can log into these different consciousnesses or realities. Yes. And I think we're sort of doing it automatically, and we're realizing that some of our memories, we have dual memories. I think a lot of us, we have dual memories with. I think I probably have more dual memories than I have like almost every single change, the new way seems familiar as well. I just
Well,
know how it used to
when he
be.
shows the merging, like here's your timeline of Earth, and here's the one that you're bumping into, you're merging with it for whatever reasons, right?
Hmm.
And now you're jointly, them and you are on that timeline completely. You're going to have the memory of the old and you're going to have the memory of the new, because now
Right.
that timeline belongs to you as well. So you're going to have dual memories, which is really frustrating. Dual memories drive me crazy.
Me too. And you know, it's funny because, you know, Moneybags will put out a video and they'll say, "What do you remember?" And I'm like, "Oh, crap. I remember two things
Yeah, I
here."
know. Like, I remember both.
So it's really a question of which one do I remember
I mean, okay,
first?
but for Wizard of Oz, Fly My Pretties, I do not have a dual memory for that. That is ingrained in me that
Yeah,
she
that's
did
true.
say my pretties, and so did the guy in what was that other movie where he goes fly and they've turned it into run?
Oh, really?
Gandalf. Gandalf. He's falling down into the abyss of fire off this giant stone walkway, and they're turning around for him, and he goes fly, fly to his friends, and now he goes run, run.
What?
Yeah, but fly never made sense because they didn't have wings. So why was it okay for me to have that dual memory? I'm like, why are you holding on to a memory that makes no sense at all? Because they did not have wings. They would run.
And why did it turn into the Wizard of Oz Mandela effect?
For me, they're just stuck in
Well,
my
I mean,
head.
you remember it being fly, fly, fly or whatever, like fly my pretties fly changed to
Fly,
fly,
my
fly, fly.
pretties, fly. Yeah.
Now it's just fly, fly, fly.
Yeah,
Like,
no way. No way. She called her little monkey flying things her pretties. My pretties. Yeah.
there's all sorts of yeah, I was just talking to someone about the Lindbergh baby. I was like, well, what do you remember about it? You know, and it's like, well, I
I
remember
remember the baby was never found or was
the
found dead.
baby was okay. The baby was okay. So here's what I found. Okay, people will either remember that the baby was kidnapped, they found the baby dead, they never found who did it, or the baby was never found, they never found the baby, and they never found who did it. It's all been this unsolved mystery
Yeah.
since the 1930s.
Unsolved mystery.
So one or the other. And,
Yeah.
and, and you can pretty much think if you've got a story like that from the 1930s, it pretty much has to have some unsolved mystery
Yeah, like
to
the
it
Black Dahlia. Who
to give
killed
it
the Black
legs to
Dahlia?
last
You
almost
know.
nearly to give it 100-year legs, right? The story's been around that we've heard about this baby. It wasn't an open and closed case. Now, if you look up the Lindbergh baby story, 2 months after it was kidnapped, they found the body, and then within a couple of years of that, the dude was convicted and fried in the electric chair. All of this happened between like 1930 and 1935 or something like that. It's a
Yeah.
5 year.
Never solved. It was some big mystery.
So
Like
if you look up
Jack the Ripper. Nobody knows for sure who Jack the Ripper was. There's a lot of theories.
So if you look up the Lindbergh baby on Family Guy, you see, of course, they make a parody and make jokes about everything. They show the parents of the Lindbergh baby, which the dad was a famous pilot at the
Yes.
time. I think that's
Yes.
why it's sort of it probably got into the mainstream to begin with. But the baby's sitting on the toilet, little cartoon character. He flushes himself down the toilet on accident, and the dad like freaks, and then he looks at the wife and says, "You write the ransom letter," or "You write the ransom letter. I'll call the cops," or something, because it was an unsolved case. The
Yeah.
joke makes no sense now with the current history. So
No.
there's
No. If it was
really
solved
good
and
residue
they
there.
caught who did it, then it makes no sense. Like Dolly's braces makes no sense.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Not having braces. It's just yeah. It
I
makes the
like
whole
it when a
scene.
Mandela effect changes something so that it becomes nonsensical. Because then people really get upset when you show it to them. They're like, "What? I can't figure that one out."
It's funny because I saw Guy Fawkes had posted this. Somebody on a message board was arguing about Dolly having braces with someone that was trying to explain the Mandela effect, and they're like, "I know Dolly had braces because I had braces at the same time she had braces," and they're arguing
She doesn't
because
now.
they never looked. They never looked because they were so sure she had braces. They never looked to see
Did
she
they
doesn't have.
finally look? Did you ever
I
get to
don't
see
think
their
so.
reaction when they actually look?
People don't look. I don't. I've had people do that with the
You
Bible. Like,
have
well, I
to
don't
look.
need to look.
You have to look. Otherwise, it makes no sense at all. You cannot argue if you don't look.
The thing is, the people that don't look are the best people to look. They don't look because they know what it says, and they don't need to open it up and reread it because they know it was a lion and the lamb or whatever you're trying to show them, so they won't look.
So I would like challenge them to say, you take your Bible and you find out where the lion lays down with the lamb. And if you can circle that anywhere in your Bible, I'll give you $100. And if you can't find it, if you can't find the lion laying down with the lamb anywhere in your Bible, you got to pay me $100, and let them go away for a week. Because they know, they've read it so many times. They know it's in there, but they can't find it.
Wow.
It's gone.
Maybe set up a booth and make a little money that way. Huh?
No, it's catching on. I think that's your brother thinking, when you find like, how can we make money at this?
Yeah.
It's catching on. It's like, it's everywhere. There were some celebrities talking about it. I can't remember who they are. They're like minor celebrities. We're just being interviewed about a movie. And Joe Rogan's Mandela affected.
Oh yeah, Joe Rogan.
For sure. Yeah. And then somebody else too was talking about Shazam.
That they remembered it, but
that he's an actor. And he's maybe on TV or something. And his big Mandela effect is Shazam because he remembers watching the movie.
And I think Brandon Urie from Panic at the Disco, he had the change in his song, and he had tweeted at some point. Sounds like some of that Berenstain stuff.
And that was his song.
That was his own song.
I want Tom Hanks to come out. I want him out of the closet talking about every Mandela effect that involves him, because there are so many.
He's got to be in on it, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna start referring to him as Mr. Hank. Tom Hank. Let's just take the S off and, start writing to him as Tom Hank and really worry him that his name is being Mandela. Hello, Mr. Hank. I understand that you've had Mandela effects in your movies, Mr. Hank.
Oh my gosh, you guys mark the word.
To Sally Field. And she can be Sally Fields again.
That's hilarious. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
So you guys heard it first here. If we end up Mandela affecting Tom Hank's name.
Tom Hank. It's Mr. Hank now. And you know what? When we had trouble with the layout on our book for 2 weeks, we thought we were being Mandela'd. We did, because we checked everything, and every time we uploaded it, a new 2 pages would mysteriously change our contents. So last night I was going, I'm feeling Mandela, Shane. I can look on my computer and the file is perfect. And I've checked the contents a gazillion times. It's perfect. And then when I look on the publishing site of where Amazon's printing the book, there's a mysterious extra 2 pages in there somewhere. So.
See, and the thing is, doing web design, you get kind of used to that sort of thing happening, because you'll have to check things in Safari and
like magic. It's like, where is
Internet Explorer, Chrome? You got to check every single browser, and then you got to check different screen sizes. Then you got to check, now that they've got all these handheld devices, you need to check to see if they're going to show up right on tablets and phones and portrait and landscape.
Really difficult.
It really is.
And we're just dealing with one book. But a big book. I mean, we're up to 300 pages now, by the way, just by putting a page break after each section so that the contents can't be knocked off, because that page break will protect that previous section from getting a new number, right?
Yeah.
We've gone from 274 pages to 300.
Wow.
And I realized that we only use single space lines. So when you read our book, it takes a while to get through a page. And I looked at Cynthia's and Greg Braden's and Bruce Lipton's. All their modern books are a 1.5 lines in between each line. It's a 1.5 space instead of a 1 space. Mm-hmm. So people reading their books feel like, oh my God, I've read 30 pages.
That's a page turner.
It's a page turner. And in our book, because we use single space lines, which is how books used to be, the old ones in the olden days.
Thank goodness we use bigger text, though. So
we use bigger text, though. It takes a while to get through one of our pages, because there's like 1.5 times the amount of words.
But I'm cool with that. I just didn't want it hard to read. I wanted the letters.
I'm good with that.
And I think we went with 11 or 12.
Yeah, we went Arial, 10, so there's no was it called serifs on them? There's no flicks on them, so they're really easy to read. But it's a really packed page compared to everybody else's. They're all doing 1.5. So I mean, we could go in and we could change it to 1.5, and then we'd have a 500-page book.
Oh no! How much did our printing costs go up by going up that many pages? Did you notice?
I don't know. It would though.
Yeah, it's probably went up a few cents.
Well, we haven't gotten the bill yet.
Yeah, they don't bill us. They just give us anything that's left over, if there is.
Yeah, and you figured out the Kindle thing. The Kindle thing is exactly the ratios less the printing cost. So
Right. I was
right on
thinking,
that. Yeah,
okay, that's what I thought. Because I'm like, we can just take off whatever, the $5 for printing, and then just sell it at that price, and then,
it's the same deal.
yeah.
Yep. So, okay, well, we covered a lot of ground today. I don't know if we've helped anybody with the space alien invasion because we could be completely wrong. And you could run out to your insectoids with your hot cross buns and your muffins and go, "Hi, we've been waiting for you guys. We know that you're really on our side," and they could just annihilate you. So, I don't know.
Perfect. Are you filling up to doing a meditation, or you want to play one, or
I
how do you feel?
think if you don't mind, because I'm feeling very drained with my cold. It's in my
Yeah.
chest now. Although I haven't been coughing or anything, I'm like all set for in case I need to blow my nose or something. I thought we'd do the sun meditation today because we did the earth one last week. We ran earth energy up our chakras and out the top of our head. And the one that I've just sent you is really clear. And we've not done this one. We've done a version of it, a slightly different version of it before. And
Okay.
it's a sun meditation to energize all your chakras through your solar plexus.
Perfect.
So I'm going to do it with you guys because I really need that extra boost of energy after being drained with this bug.
Well, I'm going to share my screen, and I will need you to mute your mic if you can. That way,
And
because
I'll go off too because I'll probably.
okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll see you guys at the end of it.
Okay. So I'm going to keep sharing my screen for you.
So today I'm just going to share with you a simple sun meditation. This has nothing to do with worshiping the sun. The sun is a life giver. We know that the rays of the sun make life on Earth possible because Earth is still in the sweet zone where life can flourish because of its exact position to the sun. It might not always be that way, but that's okay because by then we'll move on to somewhere else which is also in a sweet zone where life in 3D matter can exist. So I like doing this when I'm out in the sun, but it isn't necessary. You can do it any time of day or night, in the sun, in the rain, in the shade, in the house, outside, sitting in the sun, sitting under a tree, under an umbrella, whatever you like. Just don't do this meditation while walking where you can stumble and hurt your ankles or there's any traffic. So it's probably best to do it in a lying down or a sitting position. So close your eyes and see that sun through your closed eyes. You can visualize it, you can imagine it, you can sense it, you can hear it. Everybody visualizes differently. We don't have to actually see things. Sometimes we can just sense them. And see that sunshine growing and growing and growing, brighter and brighter and brighter. But surprisingly, it's not getting hotter and hotter and hotter. The sun's life-giving energy is electromagnetic, and it's quite cool. Or it's warm, or it's just comfortable, right in the middle. And visualize those sun's rays as they are growing and coming towards you, reaching a point and focusing into a point on your solar plexus chakra, about 6 to 12 inches away from your solar plexus chakra. So that is the point of your etheric solar plexus chakra. And it's actually in more dimensions than 3D, and it circles your entire body. So now imagine the sun's rays gently pouring into that etheric solar plexus chakra for your bodies, your mind, your emotions, your spirit, your mental body, your emotional body, your spirit body, your physical body. And as it pours in to your etheric solar plexus chakra,
that chakra gently spins faster and opens up just a bit wider. Now send those life-giving rays from the sun through your etheric solar plexus chakra into your physical solar plexus chakra. That is in the middle of your body and towards the back of your spine. And as you feel those life-giving rays pouring in from the sun, allow it to open that chakra a bit more and to spin it a little bit faster. It is always helpful to imagine a counterclockwise spin for the purposes of this meditation. Now I want you to imagine the sun's rays pouring in from the sun through your etheric solar plexus chakra, through your physical solar plexus chakra, and up your chakras and down your chakras. So you have that sun pouring in through your solar plexus chakras and up through your heart chakra, up through your throat chakra, up through your pineal gland chakra, and up through the chakra just at the base of your spine and the top of your head. And imagine that energy just shooting off into space. It's still a golden yellow or a yellow-white energy, as we currently see it with our visual eyes coming from the sun. And at the same time that that energy flow is pouring in and through you, imagine the sun's energy pouring in through your etheric solar plexus chakra, through your physical solar plexus chakra, going down your chakras, through your sacral chakra, and through your root chakra, and out the base of your spine. At this point, if you haven't already done it, it would be a good time to ground yourself by shooting a silver cord or a gold cord from the base of your root chakra down deep into the earth, all the way to the center of the earth, where it splays out like the roots of a tree. For a few moments, just enjoy the flow of that life-giving, energizing, and healing solar energy running through and up your chakras, and at the same time running through and down your chakras. Ask your chakras, all of them, in your physical body and your etheric body, to respond to those life-giving sun rays by slightly opening and slightly spinning a little bit faster in the counterclockwise direction. And as you visualize this in a comfortable, relaxing, and pleasant way, ask that the solar rays cleanse your chakras and clear your chakras. Ask that those healing solar rays energize your chakras and heal your chakras. And finally, ask that those miraculous solar energetic waves balance your chakras etherically and physically. And when you've had enough, just let the solar rays dissipate. They no longer pour into your chakras. They just kind of surround you in a normal, healthy, light, and loving way. And now it's time to gently close down your chakras to their ideal point for your optimal health and well-being, and slow them down just a little bit to their ideal speed for your optimal health and well-being. And thank the sun for its miraculous life-giving rays that have just cleared and cleaned and balanced and healed and energized your etheric body, your astral body, your physical body, and your spirit body. You actually have more bodies than these 4, but these are the 4 that we're working with today. And thank God and thank your source of life for allowing you the wisdom to be able to do this. And thank your higher self, the part of you that comes from very, very far away into this tiny but beautiful and miraculous little body on earth. And when you've had enough, simply imagine any excess energy running out of the top of your head, out of the root chakra, down your arms and legs, out of your hand and feet chakras, down and out your fingers and toes. Shake them if you like, open your eyes, wiggle your toes, and gently get up and continue having an absolutely wonderful day or night.
I'm back. Are we on yet? Oh, okay. I was listening to
I'm on. You weren't on. Yeah, you were on. I wasn't on. Okay, so my voice is back.
We're both back. I think I must have had a cold when I recorded that.
Yeah, it sounded good to me.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Little scratchy. Little low and scratchy. Yeah, I was looking at some of the chat, and Kiri, you're so right on there. Always use your gnosis. You let your heart lead you when the time comes, and you're looking at a 12-foot mantis or an 8-foot reptile. See which one to run to and which one to run from.
That's fun.
I wish we weren't so scarable. We're so scarable. We're like really scary little animals that like to run for rocks and run for cover, don't we?
Yeah.
We're easy.
I bet we're a lot of fun to scare, actually.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a reptilian, I don't know. I'd feel kind of bad walking amongst little animals that every time they looked at me, like squealed and ran and hid somewhere. I'd be like, oh, I don't mean to scare y'all.
Yeah, that's funny. That what they say? They said something like, "Don't ever send a reptile to do a job that you don't want to be scary" or something.
Even in that book, Beyond UFOs, they said that they had to pull the reptiles back because the work that they were doing was so hard to do because people were so instinctively afraid of them.
I don't blame them though. You know, we've been told that the snake in the garden was
serpent.
The serpent. Yeah.
The serpent. What else? Dragons are like flying serpents.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we all have a reptilian brain. That's our little instinctive brain at the base of the skull.
And then you got the big dragon in Revelations, the big red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and all of that. So,
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's good. That's making it a real epic read, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's why I always say to, check out the work of Matthew LaCroix, because he shows how you can follow all of the different governments, and if they have the reptilian, or I should say the serpent, the snake on their flag, the dragon, then they're all about the knowledge. Just like in the garden, it was the snake that was trying to give them the knowledge of good and evil, right?
Right.
So
what you've got the eagle? Like Germany's the double-headed eagle, and we're the one-headed eagle, right?
Exactly. So the eagles are the conquerors, or the Enlil faction, and the serpent.
Military.
Yeah, and the serpent is the Inky.
The thinking.
So as you look through history, you'll see how all of the plumed serpent heads, the snakes and all that would set up libraries and stuff. And then the faction like Rome or America or whoever was sporting the eagle on their flag would come and destroy the libraries.
What about the lion? What does the lion represent?
He didn't get into the lion.
It's interesting because that's in Ezekiel, where Ezekiel has that vision of, right, a lion.
Right, yeah.
An
one side of the lion, a bear, a man, and something else. An eagle.
Yeah. And of course, the lions always usually represented like the kings of England and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they of course have like the banking.
Of course, or the Lion of Judah originally, yeah.
And of course, the lion and the lamb is gone. The lion's gone, so.
Is it the Wolf of Judah now, or is it the?
I don't mind wolves.
Judah.
Cool, but yeah, it's just showing up, replacing that lion.
Fun times.
Interesting, guys. Super, super cool.
Well, thanks for chatting with me about this. I when I saw it, I'm like, this is a perfect conversation for me and Eileen to have, because we can just kind of look at it. We've heard about all the other stuff about it, and I'm like, it'll be a great discussion, and our group will enjoy it, because we're just pondering. We don't have any idea, but it's nice to know.
True or not, it could be true. I could be completely wrong. The guy on the video might be completely right, and who knows? If we all go with our gnosis, we'll all be okay. If we use our gnosis at all times, we'll be fine.
But I think it's good food for thought. You know what I mean?
Too. I like exercising our thought a little bit, so things don't surprise us further down the line. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A broader awareness. Even if you don't believe something, it's nice to know how some people might believe, and just to sort of tear down that wall.
Yeah, and kind of interesting to see how those who govern us have to come up with something. And what are they going to come up with? And what will it work?
Right.
Or are we beyond that,
I just say sit back and enjoy the show, but it's nice to know what they might be planning, right?
Yeah, because I'm not sure anything's going to work for them. I'm really not sure about that anymore.
No, I think it's time for a shift, and I'm ready for a huge shift like we were talking about.
Yeah, and I think most of us are pretty wise to it. And then the younger generation just doesn't care. So, it's going to be hard to fool people who don't care, and it's going to be hard to fool people who are awake.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Thank you guys in the chat for being here, and those of you watching later and joining in with our meditation. Beautiful meditation, and thank you, Eileen.
I'll go back and read the chat now and say hi to all of you, but you'll be gone. You'll be out of the room, but I'll be in there reading the live chat.
And I hope you feel better.
Thank you. I'm like on the upswing now. I'm out of the bad bit of it, and I'm getting better. I feel pretty good tonight. Otherwise, I would have said, "Oh, you're gonna have to go chat with yourself tonight."
Well, awesome. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.
If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.